continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, text 2. Rajavidya Rajagoyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vakamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartamabhyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. So we read the verse, the purport, last the last time we read. We'll just speak a bit about the purport today. So, and Krishna is calling this king of education. This knowledge is the king of education because it is the essence. Gita-Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita is called the Gita-Upanishad, essence of all the Upanishads. Krishna is giving us all the essence of the different Vedas in this Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is pointing out that the main philosophers, the six main philosophers, Gautam, Kannada, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Shandilya, and Vaishvanara, they propounded different philosophies. And then, of course, Srila Vyasadeva, he wrote the Vedanta Sutra. So what is the Vedanta Sutra? Krishna spoke the Vedas originally in the heart of Brahma.
I'll take it out from there now when I...
And then it was being spoken from one spiritual master to the disciple, spiritual master to the disciple. Like this, it was coming in the disciplic succession. And 5,000 years ago, the Kali Yuga was supposed to start. And Srila Vyasadeva knew that our memories would be very short. Earlier, this message of Bhagavad Vedas was heard, was Shruti, heard. But Kali Yuga was coming. Vyasadeva knew we would not be able to remember just by hearing. So he compiled all the Vedas. He wrote it down. Originally, it was one big Veda. Then he divided it into four. The four Vedas, which is Atharva, Yajur, Rig, and Samveda. Then he said, wow, this is still very vast. He knew we wouldn't have very long lives to live, He had also written the Puranas, the Upanishads. Then he gave the essence of all the Vedas in the Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra. So the entire Vedas, because it's so vast, he wrote it in sutras, in kind of like the condensed form, like kind of code that can be expanded or uncoded, decoded, something like that. So the sutras can be expanded on. So the Vedanta Sutra is his commentary on his, he condensed all the Vedas in Vedanta Sutra, and his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the essence of all the Vedas is the Vedanta Sutra, and the cream of all that essence is Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the entire Vedas. So by hearing Bhagavatam, by hearing Bhagavad Gita, we are taking up the study of the entire Vedic knowledge. So Krishna is saying this knowledge is the most confidential because it helps us understand the difference between the body and the soul. So transcendental knowledge. There's confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, and most confidential knowledge. In the material world, of course, there's so much different areas of knowledge. We have lawyers, doctors, engineers, so many different things, AI, and so many. But what's the most confidential knowledge? To understand that we are not the body, but we are the soul. That is confidential knowledge. More confidential knowledge is the understanding of Krishna, of God. That there is a God and that we have uh, that He is the supreme soul. And then what's the most confidential knowledge? That we have an eternal loving relationship with God and we engage in devotional service. And this is what is described here in the 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge. Because people may think that after liberation, there is no activity, but there is activity. It's not that after liberation, it's just the soul is sleeping or does not exist, or there's no consciousness. No, we are eternal. We are eternal. And so the soul exists eternally. And we can see it's the soul that is active. A dead body does not move. The body moves as long as there is a soul. So what is the activity of the soul, the eternal activity of the soul? That is devotional service. This is what Krishna is describing in this chapter. So devotional service is the eternal activity of the soul. So Prabhupada is helping us point out that second chapter, Krishna gave us this knowledge of the soul. The soul is eternal. The soul cannot be perished. It's the body that perishes. In our material experience, everything deteriorates with time. But the soul does not, because the soul is eternal. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining, that the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge is that there is activities for the soul in the spiritual world. The spiritual world, there are so many different souls in their spiritual bodies, and they're all active. As we are here active in the material world, there is activity in the spiritual world too. So here, Padma Puran, Prabhupada is quoting from Padma Puran, that because of our engagement here in this material world, we do some action, we get a reaction. Now, some reactions we get immediately, some reactions we get after short time, and some reactions we get after very, very long time. So similarly, like when we are sowing a particular plant, some plant grows immediately, some after some time, and some take very, very long time, like walnuts or something. Those trees may take very long time. Similarly, whenever we are doing any action, so the reaction we may get immediate or intermediate, soon. One will be immediate, one will be shortly after, one can be after very long time. So in the 7th chapter, Krishna says one who has gotten this sukriti, pious spiritual activities, he engages himself in devotional service to Krishna. Devotional service, bhakti, is always in reference to Krishna. Bhaja, the word bhaja, is always in relation to Krishna. And the pure devotees, they are free from all kinds of karmic reactions. Whether the reactions are going to be immediate or intermediate after some time or after very long time. One who is engaged in pure devotional service, all the sinful reactions are completely burnt out. They're gone. So this is the power of devotional service. That's why it's called Pavitram Uttamam, purest. It's transcendental. Devotional service is transcendental. So, we may say that because many people take up different activities to get rid of sinful reactions, but just engaging in devotional service is sufficient. By engaging in devotional service, all the sinful reactions can be burnt out. And not only the ones which we are currently experiencing, but even the ones that are lying as seed in the heart. Those are very difficult to burn out, but even the bijam, it's called, the the reactions which are in the form of seeds, even they get burnt out by engaging in devotional service. So the proclivity to sin also gets destroyed by engaging in devotional service. So the devotional service, the activities are on the spiritual platform. Outwardly, we may think the devotee is doing the same thing. He's speaking, he's eating, but he's in Krishna consciousness. He's having Krishna prasad. He's speaking about Krishna. He's doing for the pleasure of Krishna. So the pure devotee, he's on the liberated platform. He is not controlled by the three modes of material nature. And one who is engaged in devotional service, one who is chanting without offenses, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then one can feel the pleasure. You know how the taste of the pudding is in eating it. We may go on describing how the pudding is, but the other one, for other person to actually understand, he just has to eat it. Similarly, we just begin engaging in devotional service, begin chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and we will begin to feel this a transcendental pleasure. And then Prabhupada is saying, of course, if one not only himself is hearing, but he's trying to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam, then this helps him in his spiritual path, in his own Krishna consciousness. The more we give Krishna to others, the more we get Krishna. It's not, and we don't have to do any other process to purify us. You know, there are certain austerities or penances, some rituals that we have to purify ourselves to do that. There may be some yagyas or some kind of prayaschit or something has to be done. But for devotional service, no, just engaging in devotional service. That helps to purify us, helps take away our material contamination. In the Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva himself is saying that simply by engaging in devotional service, one gets self-realization. One becomes enlightened without a doubt. So if we want self-realization, just engage in devotional service. And Prabhupada is giving us the example of Narad Muni. Before he gave Narad Muni in his previous life, he was a small boy, barely 4 or 5 years old. He was the son of a poor maid servant, no education. But somehow her mother was serving the pure devotees. They were staying, she was a servant in some kind of a dharamshala or something. The sages were visiting there during the 4 months of Chaturmasya. And so sometimes Narad, the small boy, would also help his mother in serving these devotees. And Narad Muni tells this story about himself in Srimad Bhagavatam. He tells to Vyasadeva. And he was associating with these devotees, he was serving them, and he would wash their dishes, and sometimes there was some food left on their plate, so he asked the devotees, can I take some of this food? And they gave it to him, and he would eat that food. And what happened was he got purified. The more he was eating the remnants of the sages, he was getting purified. His sinful reactions were going away, and his heart became pure. He started feeling this great desire to hear and chant of the names of the Lord, just as the devotees were doing. So he got a great desire for devotional service. He was just associating with the sages. Just in their association, he asked for serving them, he asked for their remnants, and his sinful reactions were being taken away. And he was getting great pleasure in hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, because here, how one just simply engages in devotional service and everything will be revealed. Pratyaksha, directly perceived. One can get self-realized by engaging in devotional service. Now one may say that, how can I believe that one can get devotion, self-realized? We can see, we just heard the story of Narad Muni, and we can try it ourselves. In this age of Kali Yuga Dharma, Hari Nam Sankirtan, in this age of Kali, if we want self-realization, we have to chant the holy name. This is the verdict of all the Shastra. So, and Bhagavatam says the highest goal of all religion is bhakti. Savapam samparo dharmo yato bhakti adokshaji. So what is the highest dharma, the highest religion? Devotional service. Just as dharma of water is liquidity, dharma of sugar is sweet, dharma of salt is saltiness, dharma of soul is to always serve. Always serve. We always serving. We always serving whoever we love, our parents, our children, our spouse, our friends, our society, community. And the perfection of this service is when we serve the Supreme Lord. That's the perfection of religion, and that is devotional service. And everything for Narad, he was a small boy. It's not that he studied the Vedanta Sutra, but just by engaging in devotional service, he got the knowledge of the Vedas. By engaging in devotional service, he got this knowledge. So by engaging in devotional service, we get all this knowledge in the association of devotees. One can get realization, one gets self-realized. And devotional service is susukham. Susukham, happy, consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. From hearing and chanting in the association. Prabhupada is saying one simply sits, one hears from the pure devotee, eats the remnants, eats the prasad that has been offered to Krishna. And in this way, one executes devotional service. Krishna, he accepts anything, water, leaf, flower, fruit, anything, anyone, any social position, Krishna accepts as long as it is accepted by love. Krishna accepts the devotion. So devotional service is eternal. It's not that we engage in devotional service in this world, then after we get liberated, then we become God or become one with God or no need for devotional service. No, devotional service is the eternal activity of the soul. The soul is always active. So even after liberation, the soul continues to be active. So devotional service, in fact, pure devotional service begins after liberation. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta platform. When one comes to the Brahma Bhuta platform, one begins real pure devotional service. So after liberation, the soul does not try to become God, but he engages in serving God. This is the relationship between soul and God. The soul does not try to become God, but he engages in service to God. So, to understand God, there are different processes, karma, jnana, ashtanga, yoga, but one cannot actually understand God by these processes. One can get the success of either of this process only when they add bhakti to this process. Without coming to the point of bhakti, one will not get the result of jnana or ashtanga or karma. It has to come to the point of bhakti. So, and Bhagavatam is saying by hearing that one becomes purified by executing. So, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, this is bhakti, is devotional service. Devotional service begins by hearing, but hearing from the pure devotees, not from the professionals. When we are hearing from pure devotees, that's bhakti. Because the pure devotees have understood Krishna, realized. So then they can clearly tell us about Krishna. And we, in our turn, we will be able to understand the signs of Krishna, the signs of God. So by this process of devotional service, our heart gets purified. We can understand our constitutional position, who we truly are. We can understand God. And that's why it is the purest form of religion. It can be performed joyfully without difficulty. And so Prabhupada is saying, therefore, one should adopt it. So hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting the Hare Krishna mantras, this is devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Any questions or comments? No, then we go on to the next one. Ashraddha Dhana Purusha.
Ashraddha Dhana Purusha
Dharmasya Parantapa.
Dharmasyasya Parantapa
Aprapya Mam Nivartante.
Apranyama Nivartante
Mrityu Samsara Vartamani.
Mrityu Samsara Vartmani.
Can someone please read?
Okay, I can read.
Yeah, please.
Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. The faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is a most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. In the Caitaniya Caritamita, it is said that faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. That is called real faith. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Yatha Taror Mula Nishe Chanena Tripyanti Tatskandha Bhujo Apshakha Prano Paharaj Cha Yathindriyanam Tathav Sarvarhanam Achyuteja. By giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the demigods and all of the living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopt the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. Now, the development of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three divisions of Krishna conscious men. In the third class are those who have no faith, even if they are officially engaged in devotional service. They cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. We have practical experience in discharging our missionary activity that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive. And as soon as they are economically a little well situated, they give up this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in the literatures of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called a first class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class are those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in good faith have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity are trying to follow. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down. One in the first class will surely make progress and achieve the result at the end. As far as the third class person in Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these third class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency toward karma yoga and jnana yoga, and sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of karma yoga or jnana yoga is vanquished, they become second class or first class persons in Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna is also divided into three stages and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. First class attachment, second class attachment, and third class attachment are also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. Those who have no faith even after hearing about Krishna and the excellence of devotional service, who think that it is simply eulogy, find the path very difficult. Even if they are supposedly engaged in devotional service, for them there is very little hope of gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service.
So Krishna spoke about devotional service, that how it is the perfection of religion, it is joyfully performed, it gives one direct, easily self-realization. Direct perception of the self is self-realization. So Krishna said, how by engaging in devotional service we can get all these things, and how it can be blissfully performed by hearing and chanting. Now he's saying that those who are not faithful, one may be outwardly engaged in devotional service, but they don't have faith in the devotional service. Then they won't be getting liberated. They'll come back to this material world of birth and death. So faith in Krishna's words, faith in devotional service. And how is faith created? What does Srila Prabhupada say? Right in the beginning of the purport. How can we create this
by
faith?
the association of devotees.
That's right. Thank you. Association of devotees. Why? Because the devotees have faith. So when we associate with devotees who have faith, our faith gets stronger. So there's some people, even after hearing from so much from the Vedas, their faith is not strong, so they're not able to engage in devotional service. So what is faith? Caitaniya Caritamita is saying that faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. This is in Caitaniya Caritamrita, It's the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. And faith, complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. So we are looking for self-realization, we are looking for liberation. Simply by serving Krishna, we can come to that platform of liberation, of self-realization. And this is real faith. So Bhagavatam says, you know how if we have gotten any experience of gardening, if we have a plant, we have faith that when we pour water to the root of the tree, all the branches, the leaves automatically will also get water. We don't water each and every leaf, each and every branch. Imagine if we have a huge tree, yeah? And then we don't go about watering every leaf, every twig, every branch. No, we simply water the root. And we have faith that the entire tree will become healthy and happy. And similarly, we are putting food in the stomach. We don't put food inside our head or eyes or legs or skin. No, putting it in the stomach. And we know that the body becomes healthy. So similarly, when one engages in Krishna's service to God, serving the Supreme Lord, one is automatically serving all the demigods, all living entities. Why? Because the demigods, all other living entities are all parts and parcel of Krishna. Just when we water the root of the tree, the full tree becomes happy, healthy, and green. The leaves also become green, healthy. We gave water to the root, and the leaf became healthy. It's part of the tree. We put food in the stomach, our full body is healthy, energetic. All the parts of the body get energized. Similarly, all the living entities, all the demigods are parts and parcels of Krishna, of God. When we serve God, when we serve Krishna, everyone becomes satisfied. So, and Krishna is saying, give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, and I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. So this is faith. Faith in Krishna's words, faith in the Vedic scriptures. All the Vedas are telling us that. All the Vedas. That's the essence of the Vedas, to chant the holy name. So that is faith. And then Prabhupada is explaining, development of faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. We come new to Krishna consciousness. We are beginning of a Krishna consciousness. So the faith is not very strong. We may be engaged in devotional service, hearing and chanting, but the faith may not be very strong because the conviction is not there. Sometimes one may give up completely Krishna consciousness because one may come to Krishna for some particular purpose, maybe money or health or some material desire. And after that desire is fulfilled, one may say, bye-bye Krishna. But if one continues with Krishna consciousness, then the faith gets stronger. Then one can come to the second class, Madhyam platform. The beginner class is called the Kanishta Adhikari. So in the Kanishta platform, one's faith is very weak. In the secondary platform, one's knowledge may not be very strong, but one has faith that this is what service to Krishna, devotional service is the best. By serving Krishna, one can serve everyone else. So the second platform, the Madhyam Adhikari, has this faith. The the knowledge of the Madhyam Adhikari may not be very strong. He may not be able to explain the knowledge very clearly, but he has good faith. As we said, that the beginner, his faith is also very weak and he has no knowledge. So if somebody tries to speak to him, he may easily give up practicing Krishna consciousness. But the secondary platform, the Madhyam, his faith is good. So he will not give up the process. He does not have complete knowledge, but his faith is very strong. So he will not, in the, some people may say, oh, what you're doing, wasting time. No, he's understood. Service to Krishna is the best course. So gradually, we have to rise ourselves from this third class. We at least need to come to the second class. Have this firm faith in Krishna and devotional service in the message of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And of course, the first class devotee. First class devotee has strong faith in Krishna and complete knowledge of the scriptures. And by looking at him, one begins to chant Krishna's name. That's the Uttama Adhikara. So we have the Kanishta, the beginner, the Madhyam is the intermediate, and the highest platform, the pure devotee. That's Uttama Adhikari. So faith, we have faith in so many things, We have faith when we are reading the packet also of something we buy and we want to see the ingredients, or it's without sugar, or it's gluten-free, what are we looking for? And we have faith that this is true. So similarly, we need to develop this faith in Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, faith in the words of the great devotees, the acharyas. And faith can be acquired, strengthened in the association of devotees who have faith. Is that okay?
Yes.
Then going on. Maya tatam idam sarvam.
Maya tatam idam sarvam.
Jagat avyaktamurtina.
Jagat avyaktamurtina.
Matsthani sarvabhutani.
Matsthani sarvabhutani.
Na chaham teshva avasthita.
Na chaham tesva avastha.
By me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the gross material senses. It is said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Na Bhaved Graham Indriyai, Sevon Mukhe Hi Jivha Dao, Swayam Eva Spurati Ada. Lord Sri Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Prema Gyan Achurita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadev Hrideshu Vilokyanti. One can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, always within himself and outside himself if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. Here it is said that although he is all pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. This is indicated here by the word avyakta murtina. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him. As we have discussed in the 7th chapter, the entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of his two different energies, the superior, the spiritual energy, and the inferior material energy. Just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation, and everything is resting in that energy. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere, and everything is in me. But still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vistabhyaham idam Krishnam Kritsnam. He is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies.
So Krishna, he's saying by his unmanifested form, he's pervading the entire universe. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Everything rests on Krishna. The material, Krishna said earlier, the material energy belongs to him. We, the living entities, belong to him. The spiritual energy belongs to him. So everything that we are seeing is Krishna's different energies. So the pure devotee, he can see Krishna because he's revived his love for Krishna. He can understand that, oh, this belongs to Krishna. The tree belongs to Krishna. The sun belongs to Krishna. When he's seeing any living entity, he's seeing a combination of material energy and the spirit soul. Like the tree, material body, inside there is a spirit soul. Because he has love for Krishna. You know, when we love someone, we love our son or daughter or anyone, we see the bag. We are not thinking of the bag, we are immediately thinking of the person we love. So the pure devotee, because he's revived his love for Krishna, anywhere he looks, he remembers Krishna. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Shanta Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So how can one see Krishna everywhere? Where one has this, anoint the eyes with the ointment of love, with the salve of love, then we will be able to see Krishna everywhere. We do makeup to our eyes, we put beautiful things. When we can put love for Krishna in our eyes, we will be able to see him everywhere. So one may say, oh, Krishna is present everywhere, and so that's why he's not a person anymore. Oh, Krishna, because this material world is his energy, the living entities are his energy, parts and parcels. So Krishna as a person doesn't exist anymore. No, Krishna exists. He's the energetic. He's a person. He's the supreme person. And he exists. He lives in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan. And he's all pervading, omnipresent. How? By his energies. And this is his inconceivable potency. One may not be able to understand, oh, how can Krishna be everywhere and yet be in his Golok Vrindavan? Because he has inconceivable energies. By his energy, everything is happening. As we see, there's a big CEO of a company. He's sitting at home, but under his orders, the entire company is working. All the different departments are following his orders. They're doing their work. Where is he himself? He's at home. So if a living entity can do to such great degree, we cannot even imagine to what degree God can do. And we can see here by this material creation, this is an example. The material energy belongs to him. We, the spirit souls, we belong to him. Krishna, He's still an individual person. It's not that we are cut from him. It's not that he's a paper and that somebody took scissors and cut us from him and now he does not exist anymore. No, soul cannot be cut. Krishna said in the second chapter, is immutable, is eternal. So we exist eternally as parts and parcels of Krishna. Krishna exists, we also exist. Paper is material, paper is unconscious. Krishna is transcendental, Satchidananda. We are Satchidananda, transcendental. So we exist, we are his parts and parcel, just as sun and sunshine. The sun planet is there, but the sunshine is spread all over. Now one may say, oh, because the sunshine is coming from the sun, so the sun does not exist anymore. No, the sun exists, and the sunshine also exists. Sun exists, sunshine exists. So we are existing, Krishna also exists. Everything is Krishna's energies. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has this many energies by which all this wonderful material creation is happening. We, the living entities, we are his spiritual energy here in this material world. The spiritual world is working under Krishna's spiritual energy. So God is omnipotent. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Let's stop here for today. We won't start this one. We'll do this tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.